there you are, shuffling into this dimly lit corner of rock and roll's overgrown graveyard, where hits don't just die, they mutate into eternal earworms that haunt stadiums, weddings, and that one uncle who thinks he can sing. We're talking about Hey Jude, that sprawling Beatles beast from 1968, a track so stubbornly uplifting it's like a musical middle finger to misery itself. You know the one, starts all tender and piano plinky, then explodes into a na-na-na frenzy that could rally a zombie apocalypse. But beneath those harmonious layers, a tangled mess of divorce drama, a kid caught in the crossfire, and enough behind-the-scenes absurdity to make you wonder if the Fab Four were secretly scripting a soap opera. Stick around, because this isn't your nan's dusty Beatles bio. We're unearthing the grit, the gaffes, and the glorious what-the-hell moments that turned a simple comfort ditty into a global anthem. And trust me, by the end, you'll be na-na-na-ing your way to the subscribe button, or at least chuckling at how one song accidentally became the soundtrack to half the planet's emotional breakdowns. Let's rewind to the ignition point, that spark where genius collides with everyday chaos. Picture Paul McCartney, the eternally optimistic half of the Lennon-McCartney duo, cruising down a leafy English lane in his Aston Martin, because nothing says relatable bloke like a luxury sports car humming along to the rhythm of Heartbreak. It's June 1968, and the Beatles world is fracturing faster than a dropped guitar. John Lennon, the sharp-tongued visionary, has just ditched his wife Cynthia for Yoko Ono, that avant-garde whirlwind who's about to turn the band into a conceptual art project gone wrong. Poor Julian Lennon, John's 5-year-old son, is left in the wreckage, wide-eyed and wondering why Dad's suddenly more interested in bed-ins than bedtime stories. Paul, ever the fixer-upper, decides to pop over to Cynthia's place in Weybridge for a cuppa and a chat. On the drive, he starts noodling with a melody to cheer up little Jules. "Hey Jules, don't make it bad," he hums, channeling that classic McCartney magic, turning personal pain into pop gold. But Jules felt a bit clunky, like naming a ballad after a cocktail. So Paul tweaks it to Jude, maybe nodding to the character Jude from Thomas Hardy's novel, or perhaps just because it rolled off the tongue better. Either way, it's a masterstroke, vague enough to apply to anyone nursing a wound, specific enough to tug at the heartstrings of a confused kindergartner. Now unpack that opening line. "Hey Jude, don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better." It's pure McCartney therapy speak, isn't it? Like he's the world's first rock star life coach whispering, "Chin up lad, life's a bummer, but here's a tune to flip it." The roots? Straight from the Lennon family implosion. Paul later admitted it was all for Julian, a way to say, "Your folks are splitting, but the world's not ending. Grab that melancholy melody and twist it into something hopeful." And twist he did. The song balloons from a solo piano croon into a full-blown orchestral riot, mirroring how a kid's quiet sadness can erupt into big, messy emotions. But here's a cheeky aside. What if Paul had gone full petty? Imagine if he'd written, "Hey John, don't be a prat, remember your kid before you chase that abstract artist." Nah, too on the nose. Paul's classier than that, or at least his publicist was. Still, the irony. John heard a demo and thought it was about him and Yoko, interpreting lines like, "You have found her, now go and get her," as Paul's blessing for the new romance. Talk about selective hearing, John, the king of cryptic lyrics, missing the point entirely. Makes you laugh, doesn't it? The guy who penned "I Am the Walrus" couldn't spot a lullaby for his own son. Fast forward to the album saga, or rather, the single saga, because Hey Jude wasn't tucked into some LP like a forgotten B-side. No, this monster demanded its own spotlight. The Beatles were knee-deep in the White Album sessions, that infamous pressure cooker where egos clashed harder than cymbals. Tensions? Sky high. George Harrison quitting temporarily, Ringo walking out in a huff. It was like a rock and roll version of a dysfunctional family holiday. Amid the mayhem, Paul brings in this 7-minute epic, complete with a 4-minute fade-out that's basically an invitation for the whole world to join in. Recording kicked off at EMI Studios on July 29, 1968, with Paul on piano, John on acoustic guitar, George on electric, and Ringo on drums. But oh, the drama! Take after take, Paul flubs a note at around 2:58. Listen close and you'll hear him mutter "fucking hell" under his breath. The band cracks up, decides it's too raw to cut, and leaves it buried in the mix like a hidden Easter egg for eagle-eared fans. Genius or lazy? You decide, but it's the kind of imperfection that humanizes gods. Then comes the orchestra. 36 classical musicians hired for the crescendo, but Paul wants them clapping and singing the na-na-na bit. Half bulk, we're pros, not choir boys, until they're offered double pay. Suddenly everyone's a backup vocalist. Moral of the story? Even symphonies have a price tag. And the launch? Pure Beatles bedlam. Released August 26, 1968, as the flip to Revolution, John's fiery protest rant, Hey Jude was Apple Records' debut single, that shiny new label the band launched to escape the corporate grind. But freedom came with glitches. The Apple logo on the label sparked a lawsuit from some fruit company. No, not that Apple yet. Promo-wise, they filmed a video at Twickenham Studios, miming to the track with a live audience storming the stage for the big sing-along. David Frost introduced it on TV, calling it the greatest honor of my career. Overkill? Maybe, but it worked. The single shot to #1 in the UK, US, and everywhere with a radio, holding the top spot for 9 weeks stateside, the longest for any Beatles tune. Sales? Over 8 million copies, making it one of the best sellers ever. But here's the wacky bit. It clocked in at 7:11, smashing the radio norm of 3 minutes. DJs grumbled, stations edited it down, but fans demanded the full Monty. Imagine the absurdity. What if every song stretched that long? We'd still be halfway through Stairway to Heaven by tea time. And the cultural ripple? It became the ultimate closer for Beatles gigs, though by then the band was fraying. Their last rooftop concert in '69? No Hey Jude, but the spirit lingered, that endless coda echoing the end of an era. As Hey Jude ascended to legend status, it didn't just sit pretty on charts, it infiltrated everything. Sports arenas adopted the na-na-na as a victory chant. Think football crowds belting it after a goal, turning stadiums into impromptu karaoke bars. Covers poured in. Wilson Pickett soulified it in '69, hitting the top 20 and proving the song's bones were unbreakable. Elvis gave it a Vegas spin. Diana Ross supremed it up. Even Sesame Street parodied it as Hey Food, leading to a lawsuit from Apple Corp. Settled amicably, but come on, Big Bird versus the Beatles. That's peak absurdity. What if Grover had covered Helter Skelter? Chaos. And the lyrics' deeper digs? The movement you need is on your shoulder. Paul thought it was placeholder gibberish, but John insisted it stay, calling it profound. Turns out it's a nod to shrugging off burdens, that subtle gesture of resilience. Julian himself didn't twig. It was about him until he was 20, bumping into Paul at a party. Yeah, mate, that was for you, Paul says casually, like dropping a bombshell over canapes. Mind blown. The song's also got quirky tributes. In 2012, it closed the London Olympics opening ceremony, with Paul leading 80,000 in a global na-na-na. And trivia nugget, the piano Paul tickled. Same one Freddie Mercury hammered for Bohemian Rhapsody. Talk about keys to the kingdom. But the enduring impact. That's where Hey Jude really flexes its muscles, rippling through culture like a stone skipped across a pond that never stops. It's been therapy for generations, played at funerals, proposals, even political rallies. Remember when Barack Obama quoted it in a speech? Don't make it bad, he urged, channeling Paul to bridge divides. The song's message of turning sorrow into strength. Timeless, mate. It's inspired oddball homages too. A 2002 auction of the original handwritten lyrics fetched £28,000 for charity. And the quirky aftermath? Julian grew up to be a musician himself, releasing tracks like Valot, but always in Dad's shadow, though he credits Hey Jude for sparking his love of music. Ironic, innit? The song meant to console him becomes his legacy's footnote. Then there's the hidden gems, that faint whoa in the bridge. Ringo ad-libbing after a toilet break, rushing back to his kit just in time. Nearly missed the take. Classic Ringo, turning a near disaster into drum gold. And what if the Beatles had canned the long fade out? We'd have a tidy 3-minute popper, but no epic chant. Instead, it's a 7-minute invitation to communal catharsis, proving rock can heal without preaching. Satirical swipe. In a world of auto-tuned heartbreak anthems, Hey Jude reminds us that real emotion comes with flubs, F-bombs and all. Fast forward through decades of na-na-na echoes, and Hey Jude stands as a testament to the Beatles' alchemy, turning personal turmoil into universal uplift. It's outlived feuds, fashions, and even the band itself, popping up in films like Across the Universe or that weird Beatles biopic where they fight zombies. Okay, I made that up, but wouldn't it be brilliant? The ripple effects? Endless. It paved the way for epic singles like Bohemian Rhapsody or November Rain, showing radio could handle marathons. And culturally? It's the go-to for feel-good montages, from rom-coms to therapy sessions. Obscure nod. In 1968, it knocked off the Rolling Stones' Street Fighting Man party vibes. Mick Jagger must have grumbled, "Hey Jude, more like Hey Rude." But no hard feelings. The Stones and Beatles were mates, swapping riffs like trading cards. Julian's take? He's proud, calls it a beautiful sentiment, though he jokes about royalties. Fair play. If your childhood trauma funds your adulthood, that's rock and roll karma. All right, you magnificent lot, we've dissected Hey Jude from its heartbroken birth to its immortal afterlife, with enough twists to make a pretzel jealous. If this tale of divorce ditties, orchestral bribes and hidden swears tickled your funny bone or stirred your soul, smash that like button like Ringo on a snare, make it echo. Subscribe to the Galore Vault for more unfiltered dives into the madness that made music legends. And drop a comment. What's your wildest Hey Jude memory? Did it get you through a breakup or just annoy you at karaoke? Share, and let's keep the conversation na-na-na-ing. Until next time, remember, take a sad song, make it better, and don't let the bastards grind you down. Peace out.